Final round of 2024 in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup has arrived, and this is what happened last weekend in Podium in race 2 in the wet conditions, and it was a historic weekend over in Thailand. The first wet race of the year saw pole sitter Ryota Ojiwara on the number 16 machine chased hard by the eventual champion Zen Mitani, and a couple of Australians as well were up at the sharp end. Ricky Henry, unfortunately here, crashing out at the final corner while battling in the podium places with compatriot Archie Schmidt on the number 15, who secured his first podium of the season of his ATC career. This was the battle for the final podium places, and that was a monumental scare for Mitani as he tried to climb onto the podium in race 2 in Thailand, but a P4 result for Mitani back in Thailand was enough to hand him the crown last time around. Ojiwara won, Archie Schmidt finished second on the 15, and the home hero Singapore finished third, and this was Zen Mitani crossing the line to become your 2024 Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup champion with a round to spare. And less than a week on from what happened in Thailand, we have arrived in Malaysia for the final 2 races of this compelling 2024 Asia Talent Cup season. What a year it's been. The championship has already been decided with Zen Mitani the deserved winner in 2024. Fantastic season for Mitani on the number 2 machine. An unassailable lead now, 63 points clear with 2 races to go over Ryota Ojiwara. But the P2 battle is alive and kicking, so plenty to get our teeth stuck into today and tomorrow. You can see there the weather changing slightly here in Sepang. The rain has held off for most of the afternoon. We had a little sprinkling, didn't we, before the start of the TSO sprints for MotoGP. But the rain is holding off now, but I can confirm on the way to the commentary box, it is almightily hot out there and humid. Really tough conditions for these riders. Of course, they're used to racing over here. This is where they do their hard work over in this part of the world. Some of them have ventured over to Europe a couple of times, but this is the conditions that they are used to, so it won't be too much of a worry. Let's just hope the rain stays away so we can get a dry 11 laps under our belts here at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. My name is Elliot York for the penultimate time this season. Liam Hodgins joins me in the commentary box. Liam, it's been a fascinating season. Of course, we saw the crowning, of Zen Mitani last time out, and he starts on pole position once again, so he's continued his fine form in 2024, has Mitani, but a fantastic result last time around. He comes into this weekend, Liam, with no pressure on his shoulders. He can just go out and enjoy it.
Yeah, good afternoon, good morning, good evening to wherever you are around the world. First of all, Elliot, it's great to be back in the commentary box alongside you, and you hit the nail absolutely on the head there. Zen Mitani comes in with nothing to lose. He can just go out there and enjoy himself. 53 points he is in the championship. He won it last time out in Thailand, and yeah, what more can you say about Zen Mitani? He's been absolutely a class above so far this season. 5 victories and set his 4th pole position here this weekend. He's been absolutely brilliant, and I'm so looking forward to seeing what he can do here today.
Yeah, 4th pole of the season, as you rightly say, Liam. It's been a stellar year, both on a Saturday in qualifying and in the race, of course, here on Saturday and on Sunday mornings as well. No podium, though, in Thailand. 2 races in a row now. Mitani has stepped off the podium. Of course, he went on to claim the title, so we won't worry about that too much, but he'll be hoping to re-step onto the podium in Sepang. Of course, we visited Malaysia already earlier on this season for round 2. During the Malaysian Superbike rounds, the riders from the ATC joined a few months back, and it was Zen Mitani who won both races from pole position. So he's done one of them already. He's secured pole position, but only just, not a lot in it. It's less than a 10th in it in qualifying between the 2 Japanese riders at the front. So a very close and contested qualifying. Ryota Ojiwara is in the middle of the front row. His best starts in QP for a while now. Ryota Ojiwara, apart from that last weekend, of course, he gained pole position in Thailand. 3rd front row of 2024 for Ojiwara. Fantastic stuff once again, and he's hoping to cling on to 2nd place in the championship standings, and 1 point in it between Ojiwara and Takehira as we head into the final 2 races.
Yeah, it's incredibly close between Ojiwara and Takehira, as you say. Quite a stat that I can't quite believe myself is that Takehira hasn't won a race so far this season. He did win a race last year here at Sepang, of all places. So if there's a place he does know very well, it is here at Sepang. So he'll be hoping to at least get a win under his belt and, of course, take second. The ultimate prize just behind Zen Mitani in the championship.
Absolutely, yeah. Ojiwara did have bike issues in qualifying, so missed around about 10 minutes or so, and then managed to get a lap in towards the end of the session to get onto the front row. Starting on the outside of the front row, the number 19, the Malaysian rider, the home hero, Farish Hafiy, third front row of 2024 for the Malaysian. No podium, though, in the last 5 for Farish Hafiy. Last gained a podium in race 1 in Indonesia. Did stand on the podium in race 2 here a while back in Malaysia in front of his home fans. So a repeat of that will go down nicely for Hafiy, who is currently 7th in the standings. Has an outside shot at climbing into the top 6, but a difficult ask for Hafiy at this stage to try and challenge those top 6 places in the championship.
The home fans will be cheering him on, so he'll be hopefully getting cheered on to maybe a first podium, as you said, in 5 races, which is quite incredible considering he has been inside that top group so many times over the last few races. What can he do from the second row of the grid? I think he will, from the first row of the grid, he will be there or thereabouts, and he seems like a rider that so far this weekend has been oozing with a bit of confidence.
Yeah, he certainly has done. He enjoyed himself last time he came to Malaysia in front of his home fans, and he's enjoyed himself so far too, has Farish Hafiy. He was another rider, 3 of them in the 2:16s in qualifying, including, of course, Zematani and Raisa Ojiwara. Spearheading row 2 then is the number 7, the Indonesian, Kiandra Ramadipa. Equal best qualifying of the year for Ramadipa. Hasn't quite gone to the front row this season, but Ramadipa still has a chance of finishing second place. Only 15 points between Ojiwara and Ramadipa in the championship standings, so the Indonesian rider does have a chance, a good chance as well. Not an outside one, outside in terms of he's sort of in 3rd place in the chase to finish second, but he's got a very, very good chance of standing second place, claiming the silver medal in 2024, and of course won last time out in Thailand, so confidence high for the Indonesian.
Yeah, it is indeed, as you say, won last time out, but he also did take a second place in race 2 back here. I must have been about 5 or 6 months ago now. I know temperatures, track conditions, all completely different as to what they were that long ago, but he will be confident that he will be able to repeat, so maybe go one step on the podium a little bit bigger than he did last time they were racing here in, I think, May or April time in 2024.
Yeah, it was a while ago, a few months ago. It passes by very quickly here in the MotoGP World Championship and the Asia Talent Cup. This is the final round already. It's hard to believe it. Starting on the middle of the second row is Seiru Ikegami. He's started 10th place last time in Thailand, so good to see Ikegami, the rookie, who has an outside chance of still finishing second, but very difficult from 37 points back on Ojiwara. He needs a bit of a miracle to finish second overall, but by no means impossible, so don't count that out just yet. Ikegami, the rookie, best qualifying since Indonesia for the number 14, and starting from the outside of row 2 is Rishi Takahira. 3rd time off the front row this year for the number 9 rider. 1 podium in the last 4, and he sits 1 point behind Ojiwara coming into race 1 of 2 in Malaysia. And Takahira, he's missed out on the title, but the next best place to finish is, of course, second. So Takahira will be hungry to beat his compatriot Ojiwara to second place in the championship come Sunday morning.
Yeah, we've seen in the MotoGP that consistency is king in 2024, and for Takahira it's also king for him to put himself into 3rd place in the championship. 5 podiums so far this season, 7 if you count 2023 as well, and of course his best qualifying came here when he took pole position in 2023, so another rider that knows this track, the Sepang International Circuit, extremely well, and another rider that'll be chasing his first win of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. Takahira searching for a first win of the season. Started the year with 3 podiums on the spin. Hasn't quite hit the same form since. So it's Matani, Ojiwara and Hafiy front row. Ramadipa, Ikegami and Takahira row 2 with Singapong, Schmidt and Dakigan on row 3. Schmidt aiming for another podium in the Asia Talent Cup. Ricky Henry starts from P10. Takamoto and Chaban join the Australian on row 4. Row 5 is led by Russo, then Pratumtong and Tanashot, the 2 Thai riders on row 5. Row 6 is Bumprowes, the returning wildcard rider, Zakwan and Nakib, and row 7 is made up of the number 8, Dave, the Indonesian rider, the Indian rider, apologies. So here we go then, warm-up lap time here in Malaysia. Let's pray that the rain clouds stay away. It's still dry at this moment in time, but there's plenty of grey clouds hanging around the Sepang International Circuit, a vast facility here in Malaysia. A fantastic 5.5 kilometre long layout, 15 corners. It's got a bit of everything. That's why MotoGP comes testing here. That's why pretty much everyone loves this circuit. Plenty of overtaking opportunities. Slipstream City, of course, to end the lap and to start the lap. So this is going to be an intriguing race. If the two Malaysian races that we saw earlier on is anything to go by, then it's going to be a corker, Liam.
Well, indeed, Elliot, I cannot wait for this one. We did see back in Sepang a few months ago that it was a barnstormer at the front. However, Zen Mitani was the rider to beat, took a double victory here a few months ago. If he does the double here this weekend, it'll be 4 victories in Sepang, and only one other rider has ever done that. That was Chan Onchu back in 2017 when he won both of the visits here that season on his way towards the runner-up in the championship behind his brother Dennis Onchu. So we know that once you get your groove into the circuit, you can really push yourself to bigger and greater things, and Zen Mitani could be the second rider to take 4 victories around the circuit, which will be quite a feat in itself.
Yeah, the records potentially continue to tumble for Zen Mitani. Both races were won last time out in Malaysia for Mitani. Ojwara and Takahira stood on the race 1 podium. Ramadipa and Hafiy stood on the race 2 podium. So plenty of riders have podium potential here in these 2 races coming up. Race 1, of course, right away. 11 laps to decide this race. The championship, as I say, has already been decided, but the P25, we're going to keep an eye on that for sure, because that's an intriguing battle that lays ahead between now and tomorrow, and potentially it's all going to come down to this section of the circuit, the fast sweeping left and right of 12 and 13, then you come into the famous turn 14 and then fire it up the long back straight. What did you see there, Liam? I didn't quite see anything.
Almost a little bit of contact between 2 of the riders as they came onto the back straight. I think it was the number 20 and the number 16 of Ojiwara, and of course the number 20 of Singapore. So it could have been almost curtains there for a couple of riders coming onto the back straight, both shaking their heads at each other. So yeah, thankfully we both got them in the race still, because they're still big players in this race, but thankfully we've got all of the riders that started this warm-up lap coming round to the grid.
Yeah, good spot, Liam. I didn't spot that, but I did spot the white and red rain flags being waved at the turn 14 at the start of the long back straight. So something to keep an eye on for these riders. As I say, hopefully the rain stays clear, because we want a dry race. We want a good battle. We've had great battles all throughout this 2024 season. Thailand was no different as well. Fascinating stuff last weekend. Let's hope these riders treat us to another great battle in the next 11 laps. So it will be eyes on the lights for the entire field. The green flag waves in the background, red flag clears. The 4 red lights will come on very, very shortly indeed, and they'll go out, and then we are racing. It looks like a fantastic start from Ojiwara on the number 16 in the middle of the front row. He gets the perfect launch from second place and pips Mitani's pocket straight away going down into turn 1, but it's all about the braking zone. Can Mitani react straight away? Gives you the good go, but Ojiwara is good on the brakes. Ikegami on the 14 has had a good start from the second row. He's up to 3rd. Hafiy, the Malaysian, down to P4 for the time being.
Yeah, some riders further back from the middle of the second row. Ramadipa had a shocking start, almost got left for dead on the line, but managed to recover quite well. He's in 8th spot, so watch out for Ramadipa. But as you say, what a great start for Ojiwara and Mitani. They're already putting some daylight between themselves, Ikegami and Hafiy. So Hafiy, the Malaysian, will be one to put on a good show. He's already up there, but here comes Zen Mitani already making a play for the lead and barging out Ojiwara, elbow to elbow stuff through turn number 4. That was really hard, as you like, from the champion.
Oh, Zen Mitani taking no prisoners early on in this race. What a move at the inside at turn 4 on his compatriot Ojiwara. If Mitani, anyone thought he was going to settle down and just settle for potentially a podium, absolutely no chance. He wants to return to winning ways after missing out on the podium last time in Thailand. And as you say, Liam, these 2 riders at the front are already breaking clear, but we've seen this so often in this championship in 2024. The threat of breaking clear, then the riders slowly claw their way back, and if they keep battling away like they are, Mitani holding the inside line, Ojiwara trying to hang it around the outside through turn 9. We saw drama there earlier on about an hour ago, didn't we, in MotoGP? Hopefully nothing of the same happens this time around in the Asia Talent Cup, but a tricky corner to get right down at the turn 9 hairpin. But already, as you can see, the number 19 of Hafiy is closing in on the 2 Japanese riders at the front.
Another cracking start from the debutant Podium finisher in Thailand. Archie Schmidt, a rider that is really coming on strong towards the end of the season. He's already up to 6th spot. Took a podium last time out, which was the first time in 23 races for an Australian rider to get on the podium here in the Asia Talent Cup. So he'll be hoping to chase after another podium. He has slipped back to 7th, has the number 15. But as you say, the Malaysian rider of Hafiy is already bridging that gap as once again Mitani goes for first. Maybe a couple of spots of rain, Elliot, on the camera lens into the final corner.
Yeah, potentially a few spots in the air, so mental rain at this moment in time for the riders as they complete lap 1. It's going to be Zen Mitani leading the way from pole position, but how long for? Ojiwara gets a little bit of slipstream down this 900 metre long start finish straight. Hafiy's in there as well. Is it going to be last of the late breakers on the number 19, the Malaysian? No, not quite, but Mitani goes from P1 to P2. Ojiwara back at the front, but watch out for turn 4. That's where Mitani made his move on the opening lap. Will he go for it again? We'll find out very soon.
Yeah, you can imagine he's going to go for immediately back on Ojiwara. Seems to be that when Ojiwara gets in front of Zen Mitani, the red mist comes down ever so slightly. I don't know if there's any beef between these two. We haven't really seen it. They seem to go on quite well, but as the wildlife goes scurpering off the right-hand side, Mitani once again back into the lead, as it was Ikegami looking like he was making a little bit of a lunge up the inside of Hafiy, but it is as you were for 3rd and 4th. But once again, Zen Mitani back at the front through the 2nd sector of the circuit, through the left-hander and the right-hander. This is where he just seems to be able to gap Ojiwara ever so slightly.
Seen this so often in 2024. Mitani, as soon as he loses the lead, or loses any position, he wants to bite straight back. He doesn't allow riders to get past them and get into their own rhythm. Mitani loves to lead from the front, and as we've seen already a couple of times in this race, Mitani has snapped straight back, but Ojiwara getting a great launch out of turn 8, hanging it around the outside into turn 9. A little bit of elbow, a little bit of bumping and barging down into the slow turn 9 hairpin. But Ojiwara has just moved out of the way there on the wrong side of the racetrack for trying to make an overtake, but this is getting tense between the two Japanese riders at the front. Fantastic racing here early doors in the Asia Talent Cup.
It's a good thing they're running the same colour scheme, because it'll be literally swapping paint, so it'll be the 2 on the 16 and 16 on the 2. But this is great stuff from Zen Mitani and Ojiwara already at the beginning of this race. As it looks like the top 5 are now breaking away. That's Takahira on the number 9 at the back of this group of 5. So it's a 10-wheeler at the front with Ramadipa, who had a slow start early on, trying to make up some ground with Singapong as well. So those two are a little bit detached from the top 5 as they power down the back straight for the second time. Will Ojiwara make a move on the 16? No, it looks like it might be the 14 of Ikegami, but tucks right back in behind Hafiy. So he'd be the most unpopular person in all of Malaysia if he lost the front there and took out Hafiy.
Yeah, you certainly don't want to be taking out anyone, but less of all home heroes. So Ikegami will be careful. He does set the fastest lap of the race, the 2:17.0. A good lap from Ikegami. That's faster than he went, 8/10 quicker than he went in qualifying, would you believe it or not. As they go into turn 1 then for the 3rd time, Ikegami up into P3, a Japanese 1-2-3, and it's the Japanese riders who we saw at the Japanese GP in the top 3 positions, so they know each other well. They race each other all weekend long back in Motegi, what seems like a couple of minutes ago, but it was a couple of weeks ago now over in Japan. So we've got a great race on here between the top 5, and as you say, Liam, Ramadipa and Singapore just need to box a little bit clever here. They were slower on that lap, a good sort of 6-8 tenths slower than the leaders on that lap, so if they want to catch up, they've got to try and stick together, work together. Hopefully these guys will battle it away and cost each other time, as they're potentially doing there, and the other 2 riders can join them. So important stage of the race for Ramadipa and Singapong at this moment in time to try and bridge that gap to the leading quintet.
Yeah, and as you quite rightly mentioned, Ikegami, fastest lap of the race, and he's showing why he is the fastest rider on track with that audacious move up the inside of Takahira into turn number 5. But this battling a little bit for a second down to 5th is opening up a gap at the front for Zen Mitani, and what we saw, oh goodness me, that was almost contact, and he lost a bobble over the curb, which we saw might have played a part in one of the most dramatic points of the season in MotoGP. Won't give away the result if you haven't seen it yet, but Takahira almost losing the front, the rear, everything as he had looked for a move up the inside of Ikegami. I think Ikegami was not phased one jot by that as he continues on his march towards the top 3.
This is exactly what the chasers didn't want to happen. Zen Mitani taking the lead in the early exchanges and not getting unsettled, and that's when Mitani can get his head down. We saw it already a few months ago right here at the Petronas Sepang International Circuit. Once Mitani gets into a good rhythm, he's a very, very hard rider to beat. So Ojiwara and Hafiy have got to box clever. They've got to work with each other here to try and reel in Mitani. They're going to get a decent dose of slipstream down the penultimate straight into the final corner, turn 15, off-camber, tricky left-hander to get right, and then it's all about getting the drive out of the final corner and back down the straight that they've just come up. The 900-metre long straight. 8 laps to go when we cross the line. Ojiwara back into second, and look at the slipstream. The number 16's gaining on the number 2. He's gaining more, and he's alongside. Is he going to pass him? No, but that gap has crucially been bridged.
Yeah, that last time round, Mitani was 0.2 of a second quicker than Ojiwara, but that was absolutely for nothing as it came down the home straight. Ojiwara already bridged that gap. Back up, it's almost down to nothing. But after that mistake Takahiro had at turn number 9 on bike number 9, he has dropped to almost 1 second off the back of Ikegami and Ramadipa, who is now started to come on song a little bit as we see maybe a change for lead. No, we don't. Ojiwara just slots back into second. But on that previous lap there, Singapong was the 3rd fastest rider on the track, quicker than Hafiy, Ikegami and Takahiro in front of him.
Yeah, Ramadipa then, we saw this in Thailand, had a little bit of a slow start in race 1, but clawed his way back into the lead group and eventually went on to win the race, of course. This is a nice slow-mo down into turn 1, I believe. The battle for first, of course, between Zen Mitani and Murata Ojiwara. Into turn 1 they go, the right-hander, then they flick it immediately left and then try and get as much poke out of the corner as possible. As potential change of the lead again. Ojiwara hanging it around the outside into turn 9, backs it in nicely, but Mitani has the inside line and says, no, you don't, Ryota, not this time around. So the 2 Japanese riders battling away nicely here. And that's bringing into play, of course, Hafiy and Ikegami too. So turn 9 seems to be the point where Ojiwara, coming out of turn 8, especially in the run down into turn 9, is where Ojiwara is very strong and potentially can make a move. If he can get the switch up the inside of Mitani next time around or in the closing 7 laps, then maybe a move is possible. But going around the outside there and trying to hang it around the outside into turn 10 is a difficult move to come off.
It is indeed, and Ojiwara seems to be the only rider in this leading bunch who's able to go with Zen Mitani. Once Mitani does try and make a small break, Ojiwara is quite capable and very quickly capable of bridging that gap. These two have been the class of the field over the last 5 or 6 races, has Mitani and Ojiwara. And Mitani, he is the class of the field, but Ojiwara has gone with him. Hafiy and Ikegami are just clawing on ever so slightly. It feels like they're maybe just becoming a little bit detached. As I say that, I'm completely shut up by Ikegami as he just sets the fastest lap of the race at 2 minutes 17 dead. That's an incredibly fast lap when we're already on lap number 5 of this race.
Yeah, good stuff then from Ikegami. Got his head down and brought Hafiy with him. So when we potentially saw Mitani clearing off into the distance or threatening to clear off into the distance, Ojiwara has obviously taken the race lead and pegged him back, the number 2. But Ikegami and Hafiy have dug their heels in and clung on to the coattails of the top 2. And Takahiro is doing his best as well to try and cling on. Takahiro, what lap time did he say? He was sort of the similar pace of Hafiy, just lost a couple of tenths to the leading trio. So Takahiro at this moment in time struggling to keep pace with the top 4, but if he can find a couple of tenths and these riders begin to battle away like they will do, then there's still a chance for Takahiro, of course, chasing that P2 in the overall standings. Takahiro 1 point behind Ojiwara coming into this one, and with Ojiwara leading it, the number 16 will take a healthy margin into race 2 in that particular battle. Ojiwara still leading from Mitani, but then coming down into turn 9, our thing is going to change. We're going to see now Ojiwara on the defensive, potentially Mitani on the attack.
Yeah, on the offensive is Mitani. This time around he hasn't gone for the move, maybe just happy to sit there to see where Ojiwara is making up time on Zen Mitani, where he's potentially a little bit quicker. And we're watching Takahiro. On the previous lap, Takahiro was setting the exact same pace as the riders just in front. He will need to find maybe a couple more tenths of a second if he really does want to get back onto the back of this leading group of 4. But we will keep an eye on that. It is 1 second right now. Last lap it was 1.1 seconds, so let's bring it down ever so slightly. It's now down to 8 tenths of a second. So this is big from Takahiro. As we did mention, he's the only rider inside the top 4 in the championship that hasn't won a race so far this season. He will want to put that to rest as he chases down what would be a 6th podium potential as well if he does take a win of the season so far. So he has been incredibly consistent, but that win still eludes him, which means that he's still sitting 3rd in the championship, potentially able to get 2nd.
Well, a race last year in Malaysia did Takahiro but hasn't won a race this year, as you rightly say, Liam. So he's going to be desperate to at least stand on the podium, but very, very desperate indeed to try and claim 25 points. 6 laps to go then, another fastest lap of the race for Ikegami on the number 14, and he's coming up the inside of Mitani. Is he going to take 2 for 1? Down at turn 1, no, it's up the inside of Mitani goes the young Japanese rider, the rookie, back up into P2. Fastest lap of the race, the first rider to dip into the 2:16s. Hafiy also was into the 2:16s on that lap, so the pace is getting quick here. New best race lap, confirmation of it there, pretty much on the qualifying times for Ikegami, much faster than he went earlier on today. So fantastic stuff from the number 14, and up to turn 4 we go. Is he going to take the race lead? I think he is, up the inside, and Mitani says thank you very much, I'll follow you through, Seiru. So Ikegami and Mitani now ahead of Ojiwara, as we have lost Hafiy somewhere. I think Hafiy's gone down, potentially all ran wide. I think we've lost the number 19 somewhere. The Malaysian is out of this top 4. What has happened to Farish Hafiy on the number 19? He's disappeared from our screens. That is Takira on the number 9. So what has happened to the Malaysian?
This is potential disaster for the home fans. Hafiy in his home Grand Prix was potential, of course, for a podium, and not just podium, a win. We will keep an eye on where he is. He is dropping down the order quite fast now, so Hafiy is out of this race, which is such a shame. He was running inside this podium battle at turn 4. It's come across for him. Oh, almost there. Shatter the front for Ojiwara. I thought for a second he was about to tuck the front and maybe take down Ikegami with him, but thankfully both have stayed up. Here we are. That is Hafiy. Such a shame for the Malaysian, and doesn't look like there's any scuff marks on that bike, so maybe the bike has just cried enough coming into turn 4, maybe out of turn 4. But Elliot, this is such a great shame for Hafiy. He will have another chance tomorrow, but today he looked so unsung around the Sepang International Circuit.
He's looked good all weekend as Farish Hafiy. He looked good here a few months ago as well. Intrigued to see what happened. It must have been down at turn 4 when we were focusing on the change for the lead. Hafiy out of picture, must have crashed somewhere, or potentially a problem with his machine. I saw the rear wheel was locked there. Whether that was caused by a crash or not, I'm not sure. Hopefully we get a replay of what's happened to Hafiy, but his podium wait continues, the home hero, and he'll have to wait till tomorrow morning to try and respond and stand on the podium in front of his home fans once again. But back at the front then, 5 laps to go once we cross the line. Ojiwara from Mitani is your top 2. Ikegami demoted back to P3, and Takira is closing in slowly but surely on the number 9 machine. Takira, a Japanese 1, 2, 3, 4 now, remember. Mitani into turn 1, aggressive as you like, Liam.
Very close to taking away the front wheel of Ojiwara. It was a little bit naughty from Zen Mitani. You don't have to be doing that at this stage of the season after you've wrapped up the Asia Talent Cup title, and obviously with 4 and a bit laps to go. But he's just sending a little bit of a message to Ojiwara, isn't he? It's like, if you want to come back at me, just remember that I am the better rider. I am the champion, and I'll come straight back at you, as Ojiwara does the same back to Mitani into turn at number 4. These two look like they've got a little bit of beef with each other, and it's absolutely great racing out front, as long as they keep it clean.
Ojiwara then back into the race lead, swapping and changing constantly. Ikegami just waiting there patiently for now, watching the top 2 in the championship battle away here in Malaysia in the closing 4.5 laps. Keep an eye on Takira, because he is continuing to close in. He was 7 tenths away from Ikegami's rear wheel across the line. Now it's down to 6 tenths. So if Ikegami can try and get into the top 2 battle, and if Takira can just eke out, reel in another couple of tenths, he'll gain a little bit of slipstream as well to help, and that will help massively in trying to get into the top 3 and the podium fight. So 4.5 laps to go. I think it's going to be a 4-rider fight for the race victory in half a lap or a lap's time between the Japanese quartet. Ojiwara still leading the way from Mitani.
This is shaping up nicely. There's a thunder potentially blowing up over the circuit, but there's a thunderous racing going on the circuit here at Sepang International Circuit. Just to take you back to Hafiy very quickly, it just flashed up on a monitor there very briefly that he did stop for a technical issue, so it's good to see that he didn't crash out, but hopefully they can get that bike sorted for tomorrow, Elliot.
Yeah, certainly. As I say, did see that rear wheel wasn't turning when they were trying to get the bike off the racetrack. So unfortunately for Hafiy, it wasn't a crash, it was a technical issue that has cost the Malaysian a chance of standing on the podium here in race 1. Here come the leaders though. Ojiwara from Mitani, from Ikegami. 4 laps to go here in Malaysia. What a race we've got in our hands. The top 3 cross the line together, and Takira on the number 9, a 2:16.8, the fastest lap of the race by a tenth. Takira is coming. Cue the Jaws music.
Oh, that Jaws music is getting louder and louder, isn't it, Elliot? And of course, that fastest lap means he's only 1/10 of a second slower than Zen Mitani's pole time. That is how fast the pace is at the front. It's red hot pace, and it is one of the best rides we've seen from Takahira. Will he finally be able to get that winning duck in 2024 off his back as the three fan out across the track? Zen Mitani once more takes the lead from Ikegami that time round. And once again, now that Takahira is with that group, he'll just be picking up the slipstream ever so slightly and he'll be getting dragged along. He's not just catching them now, he's with them. He's right on the back of Ojiwara in this battle for the podium.
Yeah, in terms of the hard work, in terms of clawing the gap back, Takahira has job done. But now the real hard work begins. You've got to try and overtake all three of these Japanese riders who have been battling all race long. Takahira, he's going to potentially sit there patiently for another half a lap. Of course, the slipstream comes into effect later on in the lap, and that will really help Takahira and the riders behind going into the final corner. But we have now clearly a top four Japanese fight for the win here in Malaysia. Mitani from Ojiwara from Ikegami and Takahira. So the top three in the championship, Mitani, Ojiwara and Takahira, joined by the rookie, the sensational rookie Seiryu Ikegami, who currently sits 6th in the overall standings. He'll be moving up to P5 at this moment in time if things stay as they are, but I bet you they won't.
Yeah, he's had one victory back home in Motegi. He would want another victory. And Elliot, I'm not usually a betting man, but I think it's safe to bet that we might have a Japanese winner here in the Asia Talent Cup, unless something quite horrible does happen in the last couple of laps and these four take each other out. But they're racing quite clean at the moment. They're boxing quite clever. There hasn't been anything untoward so far, as Ojiwara once again runs a little bit deep and he's opened the door for not one, not two, but three riders to potentially come through as they power out of the final corner across the start finish line one more time. It's now 3 laps to go.
Ojiwara, they're making a mistake down at the final corner. That's costing time, but he's going to get a great slingshot down into turn 1. A good dose of slipstream as well. We go 4 abreast into turn 1 with 3 laps to go, and it's the number 14 of Ikegami who goes up the inside. Last of the late breakers. Does he make it work? Yes, he does. Gets it hooked onto the apex at turn 1, holds it into turn 2. Ojiwara fends off Takahira for P3 and P4. Mitani stays in P2, but that's the slipstream coming into full effect. Incidentally, I did notice coming out of the final corner, Ojiwara, of course, did run a little bit wide, but the finish line, is closer towards the final corner as Ojiwara takes the lead down up into turn 4. Fantastic from the number 16 rider. As he lost the lead a few corners ago, he's taking it back again. Important to potentially lead coming out of the final corner. There's not much chance to get some slipstream, so do watch out for that in a couple of laps time, but this is going to go right down to the wire.
Yeah, all riders seem quite equal in terms of their straight line speed when they're in clean air, so the slipstream effect will come into it it will potentially make a massive difference, as you quite rightly say, Elliot. Ojiwara is so good and clean and cool as you like, getting himself to the front at the right moment of time, but will this be his undoing, because the other riders can just watch what he's doing over the next couple of laps? But I don't really think too many of them are thinking too much about that. They're just trying to get themselves to the front and maybe beat up the other riders as much as they possibly can with 2.5 laps to go.
Yeah, 2.5 laps to go then, and tactics do start coming into play. You're going to want to place your bike and in the right areas, in the right places coming into the final couple of laps, especially the final lap. I don't think we're going to want to see any of these riders potentially leading at this moment in time in a couple of laps time, because we're going to see right here a bit of a dress rehearsal coming into the final lap. How much slipstream can be gained on the run up to the final corner? Takahira and Ikegami just getting their elbows out there. Steady on, as there's still a couple of laps to go, but you can see there Ojiwara had a decent lead coming out of the penultimate corner, and on the run into the final corner, Ojiwara is able to hold the lead as we focus on the group from P5 downwards. Ramadipa, Singapong and Schmidt here, all battling for a top 5 finish. So this is going to be a battle again that goes right down to the wire for a top 5 finish between these 3 riders, but it's going to be even more intriguing to watch the battle at the front with 2 laps to go.
Yes, it's going to be good stuff from the Asia Talent Cup riders as we watch this battle for 5th position. Ojiwara's a little bit out wide there. I'm not sure if he's just playing his cards clever here, playing his cards close to his chest, just letting Zen Mitani and Ikegami lead for now. So it's a fascinating battle at the front, as it is in the battles for 5th, 6th and 7th. But with 2 laps to go, we're quite rightly focusing on this battle for the lead. Mitani once again into turn number 4, leads away, kicking the rear end out ever so slightly, just getting that bike stopped with the rear wheel, helping that bike slow down for turn 4. Is this the time, Elliot, where Ikegami has just been waiting for? With 2 laps to go, he's said to himself, right, that's it, I'm hitting the front and I'm about to try and brake as quickly as I can. And already through the first few corners, he has opened up about a 7/10 of a bike advantage through the first couple of sectors.
Yeah, this is an intriguing part of the race, a crucial part of the race. Zen Mitani has hit the front and he's threatening to potentially clear off into the distance. Not too far into the distance, but enough to try and win this race. But down into the turn 9 braking zone they go. The gap closes up a little bit. A lot, in fact. Mitani's lead has pretty much evaporated there. Ikegami good on the brakes. Ojiwara is desperate to try and get past Ikegami and focus on Zen Mitani at the front. But again, with 1.5 laps to go, it's all going to come down to slipstream in the final corner. Mitani currently leading the way from Ikegami. Ojiwara and Takahira sitting patiently in P4 for now. As I say, he did the hard work, but now he's got to try and focus and work out where the riders potentially are weaker, where he can try and make a pass coming into the final lap and 1 corner left. So up the back straight for the penultimate time, it's Mitani from Ikegami, Ojiwara and Takahira, a Japanese quartet, all going for the victory.
Thankfully, the weather has stayed away. It has been dry throughout this entirety of the Asia Talent Cup race. Here comes Takahira on the number 9. No, it's Ojiwara once more. Does he get a stop? Yes, he does. He sets up Zen Mitani, but opens the door for Takahira and potentially Ikegami. No, but as we start the final lap of the race, it's 3 abreast, 4 abreast, and they look across each other, elbow to elbow down the home straight. Final lap of the Asia Talent Cup race, won here in Malaysia.
Oh, here we go then, 4 abreast down into turn 1. Ojiwara, an aggressive move on Mitani at the final corner. It's Takahira at the inside of Ojiwara. Ikegami's going to be demoted to P4. Mitani, though, hangs it around the outside into the braking zone on the number 2. The champion leads, heading on to the final lap. 1 lap to go here in the Asia Talent Cup Race 1, and it's anyone's game.
Yeah, and for now, if it stays like this, it will be Takahira that takes second in the championship from Ojiwara, but just bet your bottom dollar that Ojiwara's not going to sit there fanning out across the track into turn number 4. Here comes Ojiwara for second. He does it, but Zen Mitani still quite brilliantly leads. He's coming up to the section of the track where he is much faster than the 3 chasing him. It looks like maybe the 14 of Ikegami can't quite put a move on Takahira for now. It is as you were as they enter turn 5, into 6 to go. And once again, Ojiwara, he is bridging that gap to Zen Mitani. He's chasing his 3rd victory of the season. Zen Mitani his 6th.
What a run through turn 6. Ojiwara got just then to close in on Zen Mitani, the part of the lap where we've seen Mitani just eke out a few tenths over the last couple of laps, but not this time around. So going down into turn 9 for the final time, we've seen elbows out down here all race long. Ikegami threatening to go up the inside of Takahira, but not this time around. It's all going to come down to the final corner. You'd think Mitani hasn't got the lead he would have wanted going into the final few corners here. It's going to all come down to the back straight and the final corner, and then the run to the line. It's all building up to a fantastic finish here in race 1.
Zen Mitani has to go defensive into the final corner. We have seen in the last couple of laps that Ojiwara is keen to make a move on the inside and set him up. A proper block pass move on Mitani could come. That might open the door for Takahira and Ikegami sitting in 3rd and 4th as they power down the back straight for the final time. It's anyone's guess. It's Zen Mitani, your champion, leads from Ojiwara, who's keeping second in championship for now ahead of Takahira.
Into the final corner we go then, last of the late breakers. Who's going to do it? Ojiwara up the inside of Zen Mitani. Mitani, though, holds it into the line. Most of them are wide. Ikegami's going to sweep through into the race lead, is he? No. Mitani hangs it around the outside. Get behind the bubble now. It's all a race to the line, but it is going to be the champion, Zen Mitani, who wins again in Malaysia from Ikegami. And Takahira takes the final spot on the podium, and Ojiwara just misses out in P4. Wow, what a race. Fantastic from the champion Zen Mitani, a 3rd win in a row here in Malaysia, and in the battle for P5 it is the Indonesian Ramadiba who wins. Singapore clearly frustrated there after finishing in P8. Fantastic stuff from all those riders. I assume that was a congratulatory little kick there from Dakigan on the number 22. I'm sure it was. Fantastic stuff all the way through the top 10 here in race 1. But what about that for a final corner and a run to the line. Zen Matani, as he has done so often in 2024, wins the battle for the race win, and after missing the podium in Thailand, he is back to winning ways, is the champion. Phenomenal stuff from the number 2.
Yeah, Thailand was just a blip for the champion, but he played it so brilliantly. He could have bottled it going into the final corner, but he is the master of the final laps in the Asia Talent Cup. We did see that Ojiwara was going to sling it up there inside, which he did, but Zen Matani was backing it in sideways. You shouldn't see that on the Asia Talent Cup bikes, but Zen Matani, he is a cracking little rider, isn't he? He is able to time it perfectly, read the situation brilliantly, and once again manages to take victory here in the Asia Talent Cup. The 6th victory of the season and the 3rd here in Malaysia in 2024.
Ikegami also returns to the podium on the number 14, the rookie. He climbs up to P5 in the overall standings after that one, so fantastic stuff from Ikegami, who had a low-key weekend over in Thailand, but he's back on form, back in the race lead hunt and back on the podium on the number 14. Takehira will move ahead of Ojiwara in the overall standings, ahead of race 2 for the race for the silver medal in 2024 on the number 9. Fantastic stuff to get himself back up into the podium fight from the Japanese rider. He's clearly pleased with that as well. And unfortunately for Ojiwara, there had to be one rider in that group of 4 who missed the podium, and it was just the number 16 Ojiwara. Led for a lot of that race, didn't he? Was in P2, challenging Matani throughout that race, but by the flag, he did end up in P4. Less than a tenth and away from P2 was Ojiwara, but he finishes off the podium. That's just the way the cookie crumbles in the Asia Talent Cup sometimes. Another fantastic race, Liam. We've been treated to an absolute barnstormer pretty much every time we've gone racing in 2024, showcasing the best talent in Asia, and phenomenal stuff once again.
Yeah, and it just proves why on the road to MotoGP, the Asia Talent Cup is the cream of the crop. As we've seen the likes of Ayogura, who was also a rider in the Asia Talent Cup 10 years ago almost, going on to become Moto2 world champion. These kids will be hoping to do the same, and they start right now, right here. And when you get yourself into the nitty-gritty of a battle at the front like that, you know that the talent is at top form. I just want to go back to the rider, just missed out on his first top 5. The rider from the Philippines, Alphonse Dacuquin, that is his best result in the Asia Talent Cup. Previously it was P7, but he's just gone one better and finished in 6th place. So great ride there, and great hope for the Philippines that they've got a rider coming through the Asia Talent Cup system as well.
Yeah, absolutely well worth a shout out for the number 22 rider. Was close and in the podium fight back in Indonesia, and unfortunately crashed with a couple of laps to go from that podium fight. So great to see Alphonse Dacuquin up there challenging in and around the top 5 of P6 for the number 22. The Asia Talent Cup paddock is on the other side of the massive grandstand here in Malaysia, and the top 3 will of course around the final corner come into the pit lane that the Grand Prix stars use and stand on the podium that their stars, 9 of them anyway, will be standing on tomorrow. This is a replay of the last lap into turn 1. Matani fantastic around the outsides, late on the brakes, gets a great slingshot into the corner, keeps it nice and tidy on the apex as the other trio battle it out for P2, P3 and P4, and this was the final corner. Thought Ojiwara was going to have a lunge up the inside. Ojiwara there wide through the final corner. Matani also getting it out of shape, but just got it hooked up right at the right time. Ikegami in P2 got his head down, did the best he could, so did Takehira, and Ojiwara got a fantastic launch out of the final corner, but because he ran wide, he had no chance to try and draw it back to the podium on the run to the line. As I say, the finish line is quite near the final corner, so if you do come out of the final corner in the lead and get a good run, then you're not guaranteeing a win, but you're putting yourself in a very, very strong position, which is exactly what Zen Matani did.
Yeah, we just know how incredibly good he is on final corners, and you saw him kick out the rear. He was as late on the brakes as he possibly could get, using the front brake, the rear brake, everything in his arsenal to stay in front of Ojiwara, which really did put Ojiwara in a position where he chopped off the front. He kind of had to sort of set it up ever so slightly, which sent him wide. So Zen Matani, there's not much more you can say about how brilliant he has been this season, and of course just a good shout out to Ikegami and Takehira that kept it clean, kept it sensible as well. And I think if a man maths are correct, Elliot. I was never very good at maths anyway, but I think that means Takahira has moved 2 points ahead of Ojiwara in the race for second in the championship. It is now 6th podium of the year. So Takahira, he is the consistency king, but I think more so than finishing second in the championship, he might just want to go for that race win.
Absolutely, yeah. And if he can get a little bit of a better start, show a bit better pace in the opening half of the race, then he's going to give himself a lot less work to do in the closing exchanges. But Takahira does move into second overall on 161 points. 159 is Ojiwara's tally now, so 2 points split the Japanese riders heading into the final race of the season. So pretty much whoever finishes ahead of who in that race will claim the silver medal in 2024. Both riders will be very hungry for that indeed. And Ikegami does move up into the top 5. He still has a chance of finishing in 4th place as Ikegami. Ramadipa on 142 points with Ikegami on 129, Singapong on a 119, so a decent battle there as well in and around the top 5 in the overall standings. As we focus in on Seiryu Ikegami, it's been a fantastic rookie season for Ikegami, a real star. As I say, had a quiet weekend over in Thailand, but other than that, every round we've been to in Qatar, Malaysia, Thailand, sorry, not Thailand, Indonesia and Japan, he's been right there. So another fantastic race for the rookie. Here are your final results then. Confirmation, Zen Matani the winner once again from Ikegami, and Takahira with Ojiwara just missing out on the podium in P4. 2/10 split the top 4 across the line. Fantastic racing again in the Asia Talent Cup. Kanja Ramadipa claiming P5 with Dakian and Schmidt and Singapong and Takamoto all in that fight. So a fascinating fight down there in the lower ends of the top 10 for P5. Fantastic stuff. Ricky Henry finished in P10 with Levi Rusu, the fellow Australian, in P11. Pratuntong, Zakwan Chavan and Tanashot, the Thai rider, round out your point scorers here in race 1, the penultimate race of course of the season. Another 11 laps coming up tomorrow morning ahead of a crucial Grand Prix race day. The Moto 3 and Moto 2 titles have already been wrapped up, and without giving away anything, there was a big dose of drama in the MotoGP sprint. So I think if you are watching this, you probably do know the result already, but if you haven't, we won't spoil it. Here is the Riders' Championship then. Zen Matani, your champion already, 73 points clearing out Takahira, but that intriguing P2 battle continues. Takahira now leads it by 2 points over Ojiwara Ramadipa in P4, Ikegami in P5, and as I say, Singapong on 119 points in P6. Unfortunately for Hafiy, he stays on 81 points, the Malaysian in P7. He now has a job in his hands to try and finish 7th in the overall standings. Takamoto closing in only 2 points split the Malaysian and the Japanese rookie in P7 and P8. Schmidt is inside the top 10 still in P9, and Dakian climbs into the top 10, level on points with Levi Russo. So battles in the championship pretty much everywhere you look. So although the championship has been decided at the top, there's plenty of battles all the way through as we look ahead to the final race of the year tomorrow morning. Don't miss it, 9:45 local time, just before the action in Moto 3, Moto 2 and MotoGP gets underway. But an all-Japanese podium, as you can see there from the flags aloft on the podium. Takahira takes the P3 step, Ikegami on the P2 step. Second place for Ikegami this year, was second back in Indonesia. And Zen Matani running out of superlatives for the young Japanese rider. What a season it has been for Zen Matani. Not sure what he's doing next year, but his road to MotoGP has only just begun. Of course, we're going to see Ayagura and Sonkiat Chantra, 2 former Asia Talent Cup riders. Chantra a champion, Agura a runner-up in the Asia Talent Cup. They're going to be in MotoGP next year. And that, of course, is the sights that Matani and all of these riders taking part in the Asia Talent Cup will set their sights on. Exciting times in the Asia Talent Cup. A lot of heroes to look up to as well as we get ready for the Japanese national anthem here in Malaysia. Congratulations to all three podium finishers, Zen Matani, Seiro Ikegami and Rishi Takahira. A great race, Liam, and looking forward to tomorrow as well.
Tomorrow could be an absolute barnstormer at the front once more. Zen Matani looking for 4 in Sepang, and it looks like Ikegami and Takahira will be hoping to round out their year with a race win.
They certainly will be. So all three Japanese riders very pleased with their top 3 here in Malaysia race 1, and this is how it unfolded. Zen Matani started on pole position, but it was Ryota Ojiwara, the number 16 rider, who grabbed the whole shot down into turn 1 after a fantastic launch from the middle of the front row. Ikegami got a great start too. He was up into 3rd place in the open exchanges, and this was on lap 1 between Mitani and Ojiwara, the former top 2 in the championship, and this is pretty much set the precedent for the entire race. Down into turn 9, elbows out for the 2 Japanese riders, Zen Matani and Ryota Ojiwara, but it all came down to the final lap. The top 4, all Japanese top 4 battling it out for race win here, and this was the final corner. Matani hanging it in on the inside, Ojiwara getting a little bit out of shape on the inside and running wide, and this was the run to the line, and it was won again by Zen Matani. A champion prevails once again here in Malaysia. He eyes back-to-back wins in 2024 to round off a fantastic season. We will see you tomorrow at 9:45. Tune in for the final race of the Asia Talent Cup in 2024. We look forward to seeing you there.